Good evening to all. I am Dr. Srinivaslu, Geology, Environmental PG Diploma in Environmental Science Studies, Ecology, Environmental Science and Faculty. ఈరోజు మన క్లాస్ వచ్చేసి మనకు నా సబ్జెక్ట్ వచ్చేసి పీజీ డిప్లొమా ఇన్ ఎన్విరాన్మెంటల్ స్టడీస్ లోపల ఎకాలజీ, ఎన్విరాన్మెంట్ అండ్ బిగ్ డెవలప్మెంట్ వీటి గురించి మనము ఈ సబ్జెక్ట్ పేపర్ జరుపుకుంటాము. PGDES-1 మన పేపర్. అందులో మనకు యూనిట్ 1 వచ్చేసి ఇంట్రడక్షన్ టు ఎకాలజీ అనే టాపిక్ మనం చెప్పుకుంటాము. టాపిక్ ఇందులో మనం వచ్చేసి అట్మాస్ఫియర్, హైడ్రోస్ఫియర్, లిథోస్ఫియర్, బయోస్ఫియర్ అనే ఈ కాంపోనెంట్స్ పెట్టుకుంటున్నాము. బయోస్ఫియర్ అంటే ఏంటి, హైడ్రోస్ఫియర్ అంటే ఏంటి, లిథోస్ఫియర్ అంటే ఏంటి, వాట్ ఈస్ ద వాటర్ సైకిల్, వాట్ ఈస్ జియోలాజికల్ సైకిల్, విండ్ ఫార్మ్స్, ఐస్లాండ్ ఫార్మ్స్ అంటే వీటి గురించి టాపిక్స్ చెప్తున్నారు. మనకి అన్ని కూడా ఈ ఎన్విరాన్మెంటల్ స్టడీస్ లోపల ఎకాలజీ లోపల ఈ బేసిక్స్ అన్నట్టు ఇవన్నీ కూడా మనకు. సో మనకు ఎవరు కొంచెం క్లారిటీగా వినండి. బేసిక్ సబ్జెక్ట్స్ మన ఇవి ఈజీగానే అనిపిస్తుంటాయి, కానీ ఎగ్జామ్ వస్తాకల్లా మన క్లారిటీ చెప్పలేని పరిస్థితి వెళ్ళిపోతూ ఉంటుంది. కాబట్టి ఎవ్రీవన్ లిసన్ టు మై క్లాస్. If you have any doubts, ask to me end of the session. Last 10 minutes, I give the time. 10 minutes or 5 minutes, I give the time to everyone. So today we are studying. First, we are introduction. What we are doing in ecology. In ecology, what is the introduction in the solar system? In the solar system, the planet Earth has all the conditions for existence of the life that are most favorable on the Earth. Means in the ecosystem, in the solar system, it is all the existing conditions are available to living for the life. All conditions are available on the Earth. So that's why our life is we are sustaining on the Earth. Especially it has an atmosphere. Especially it has an atmosphere with 21% of oxygen. On the Earth's surface, it has an atmosphere is there. Within the atmosphere, 21% is oxygen is available. The vital gas required for the operation of life. For the operation of the life, gas is required. Hence, the Earth has become the suitable habitat for the humans. The Earth is the suitable for the habitat for the human. Means for all we need, whatever we need for the sustain living on the Earth surface, our habitat purpose. So all amenities available in the Earth surface. The environment is a physico-chemical system required by the organisms, whereas an organism is a living body. Is a living body and an integral part of the environment. The integral part of the study of the relationship between organisms and it is the environment constitutes ecology. The study of the interrelationship between organism and its environment constitutes ecology. The biosphere is the part of the Earth in which life exists. It extends down to the greatest depth of the sea and land. The upper boundary of the biosphere reaches the upper boundary of the biosphere reaches the ozone screen from the surface of the Earth to ozone in the atmosphere. The lower boundary goes down to sea. Sediments on the ocean floor constitute hydrosphere and the deep lying deposits of a biozone origin in the bowels. Bowels means it is a crust part in the because of it is a earth topmost layer is the crust. of the Earth is called a lithosphere. Lithosphere means the hydrosphere and the deep lying deposits of the biogene origin in the bowel. Means it is a low lying area. Bowel means some basin area of the Earth is called a lithosphere. Lithosphere means every time lithosphere is strategically strata, rock strata. Old form rocks the bottom side, younger form rocks the top portion side. So that's a the lithologically the rocks is formed. So this is the lithosphere. Earth contains an array of elements which undergo a cycle change through both geological and biological world, that is between environment and organisms, are called biogeochemical cycle. Nitrogen cycle is a good example for geological cycle, where where the cycle is maintained through atmosphere, organisms, and soil through specialized microorganisms like bacteria. The water cycle represents the hydrological cycle, which consists of the varied events happening to a particular particles of water from the time it is a bit of vapor in the atmosphere until it is again evaporated. Water cycle can change weather and climate. Wind is a important environment factor with tremendous influence on the ecology of organisms, and it can also produce energy in the form of wind power. Islands are also called as ice caps. Glaciers, which are found when temperature goes zero and below 0 degrees centigrade. Vast islands exist in the Greenland and Antarctica regions. Glaciers can increase the level of oceans and the seas due to global warming. The Earth is a sustainable habit for the humans. Means the Earth is a sustainable living for the suitable places for the human beings and animals, trees, and so life is a sustained on the surface of the totally inert by the solar radiation. In the entire solar system, the Earth is the only planet with an atmosphere containing free oxygen and water. Our atmosphere should shield us from the lethal ultraviolet rays and highly energy particles from sun that are highly destructive to human life. The ozone layer, when we enter into the Earth atmosphere, our life will be destructed on the Earth. So we must stop the ozone layer. Earth has provided a favorable and suitable temperature from 0 to 40 degree temperature centigrade. So basically nowadays almost we are crossing the 45 degrees temperature. But the past 10 years to 15 years, 20 years, there 0 to 40 degrees is a very big temperature. So nowadays it is common. The biokinetic zone, where normally all biological activities of man will be performed at best at the optimum temperature. Earth has an ideal pressure of 760 mm of mercury at sea level, where man can move, walk, run, eat, sleep without any difficulty. The Earth has an ideal pressure of 760 mm of mercury at sea level, where man can move. means every man must be moving one place to other place. Every man must be walking one place to another. Every man must running one place to another. Every man must be feeding, sleeping without any difficulty. Without difficulty, we can walk, sleeping, running, eating, doing whatever we doing. Sun provides sufficient light, which is the greatest source of energy for human activities. It is essential for photosynthesis. It is essential for the photosynthesis. Photosynthesis means the sunlight will be passing through the tree leaves. So the tree leaves must be generate the in the produce the food for the tree development. Development of pigments in the planets and animals, including humans, especially in the development of vision. Perhaps light is the single determining factor in the creation of life on Earth. Man is the climax and culmination of organisms' evolution and is endowed with power of thinking and faculty of talking. The terrestrial environment on the living planet Earth has official many favorable conditions and many advantages where man could adjust and adapt easily to a terrestrial environment. The most important and vital requirement for the existence of man offered by the earth is a the terrestrial environment on the living planet Earth has offered many favorable conditions and many advantages where man could adjust and adapt easily to a terrestrial environment. The most important and vital requirement for the existence of man offered 21% on land habit. Secondly, because of very less density of air, man can perform very rapid locomotion utilized for the production of energy to perform his biological activities for the maintenance of the life. Earth has become a suitable and ideal habitat for the operation of the man, operation of any life, particularly human life. Biosphere and its importance. Biosphere and importance is a very important topic. Within that, atmosphere and hydrosphere and lithosphere, these three topics will be included. The biosphere is very important topic. We can expect question from this unit. They explain about the biosphere and what is the importance of it. That question we must be expected in the examination pattern. So this is the important topic. Everyone must read out. Biosphere and its important compartments. Hello. Biosphere and its compartments. The external envol- envelope of the Earth is inhabited by the living things. It comprises all the living organisms of our globe and the elements of inorganic nature, providing the medium for their habitat. For instance, oxygen, which is a product of a photosynthesis of green planets, belongs to the biosphere. Hence, biosphere is a term used to denote the collective ecosystem of the world, and biosphere is also called a ecosphere. Biosphere is called a ecosphere. The biosphere is a relatively thin shell over the earth. The biosphere is a relatively thin shell over the earth. It extends down to the depth of sea and on land. Bacteria have been reported from the corals at depth of up to 1089 meters. The bacteria has been reported from the corals at the depth of up to 1089 meters. We can conveniently divide the biosphere into three elements. Biosphere into divided into three elements. Number one is the total amount of living organisms. Number two is the mineral substances involved in the biotic circulation, and third one is the byproduct of organisms activities. Example: oxygen, carbon dioxide, etc. Based on these bias, we can conveniently divided divided in the biosphere into three elements. Number one is the total amount of the living organism, means the living cover of the planet Earth. The Earth planet, whatever living organism is there, the living. Number two is the mineral substances. Okay, everyone listen. We must learn the biosphere is a relatively thin shell over the earth. It extends down to the depth of sea and on land. Bacteria has been reported from the corals at depth of up to 1,800 meters. We can conveniently divide the biosphere into three elements. Number one is the total amount of living organism. That means living cover of the Earth planet. Whatever Earth planet above the surface of Earth planet, any living, trees, plants, animals, man, human being, any livings, all of the within that. Second one is the mineral substances involved in the biotic circulation. Many minerals is available on the earth surface. That minerals are involved into ecosystem. Third one is the byproducts of the organism activities. Whatever animals living thing is there, na, that any animals must produce the bacteria. By carbon dioxide, some trees produce must be oxygen. That's why these two are the byproducts of the biosphere. These three elements is important. If the Earth were reduced to the size of an apple, the biosphere would be no thicker than the apple skin, about 21 kilometers thick. It extends from the ocean floor to high in the atmosphere. At an altitude of about 9,000 meters, the parabiosphere ozone represents altitude where only dormant forms of life, such as bacterial and fungal pores, exist. The empathic zone, empathic zone up to a depth of 100 meters in aquatic environment is a zone of active photosynthesis. In the biosphere, there are many many entities known as a ecosystem, each as an autotrophs, the heterotroph and decomposers, and the biogeonos may differ essentially depends depends on the features of the substances, climate, and the historical factors involved in the formation of life. Thus, the upper boundaries of a biosphere reaches the ozone screen from surface of Earth to ozone, constitute an atmosphere. The lower one goes down to the sea sediments on the ocean floor, known as a hydrosphere. The depth-lying deposits of a biogean origin in the bowel of the earth is called a lithosphere. Hydrosphere, lithosphere, biosphere. We must talk about the atmosphere. And the earth type of what type of atmosphere is there, what type of animals, which type of uh, oxygen, nitrogen, oxygen, carbon dioxide, hydrogen, neon, helium, krypton, ozone, xenon. Means the many ultraviolet rays on the earth surface be flowing. So we must read about that atmosphere, learn about the atmosphere. In the entire solar system, the Earth is the only planet with an atmosphere containing free oxygen. Nearly 75% of the atmosphere on the Earth lies within 11.5 km above the mean sea level surface. Our atmosphere filters the solar radiation and cosmic rays, serves as a barrier for the meteorites, regulates temperature, and provides the engine for weather making. The primordial atmosphere means 3 billion years ago. The atmosphere has nitrogen, ammonia, hydrogen, carbon monoxide, methane, and water vapor, but no free oxygen. The biological oxygen produced by non-biological oxygen produced by ultraviolet dissipation of water vapor might have provided enough ozone which in turn absorbed ultraviolet radiation.
Only after the evolution of blue-green algae, the photosynthetic activity came into being, and thus the gradual buildup of oxygen biologically produced in waters and its diffusion into the atmosphere brought about the present day oxygen rich atmosphere. The primordial noxic atmosphere converted into oxygenic atmosphere for the operation of life activity. That how much of is there in the volume of the Earth's surface? The atmosphere gases at 100 volume percentage at 760 mm pressure. Gases volumes. Nitrogen 78% is there in the volume. Oxygen 20%, oxygen 0.92%, carbon dioxide 0.03%, hydrogen 0.01%, neon 0.0018%, helium 0.0005%, krypton 0.0001%, ozone 0.00006%, xenon 0.000009%. Means most of the area covered by the nitrogen and oxygen covered on the earth surface. Based on these two elements, we can sustaining the earth surface. Otherwise, we cannot sustain. So nowadays, the oxygen is the most important. Without oxygen, we cannot live in the earth surface. These two elements and nitrogen also are needed. Most of the plants will require the nitrogen. That's it. In the structure of the atmosphere, the positions nearest the earth is called troposphere. The structure of the atmosphere, the position nearest the earth is called troposphere, ionosphere. Like that, the nearest to atmosphere is the atmosphere position is the troposphere. The extent some 6 or 7 miles above the sea level is a temperate latitudes and usually goes up 8 to 10 miles in the tropics. In this region, the air is mixed by the convection currents and in which temperature decreases with the increasing height. Above the troposphere is the stratosphere, in which convection currents are lacking and in which temperature, when not independent of altitude, becomes higher with the increasing distance above the earth. Above the stratosphere, at an altitude of about 50 miles, is the extremely tenuous ionosphere region. 0 to 7 miles up to vertical level, it is a troposphere. 7 miles to 50 miles is the ionosphere. I know where the cyclonic storms are the occur. Troposphere, ionosphere. Next one is the hydrosphere. Hydrosphere, the water part of the earth surface, is known as a hydrosphere. Nearly 3 by 4th of the surface of the earth is covered with the water. The total water on the earth is 14,60,000 volume thousands cubic kilometers. The total water in oceans 13 lakhs 70,000 volume in thousands of cubic kilometers. Total water on the in the earth crust up to 5 kilometers, 60,000 volume of the thousands cubic kilometers. Glaciers, permanent snow 29,000 volume. Lakes 750 volume in the thousands of cubic kilometers. Atmospheric moisture 14 volume in the thousands cubic kilometers. River water 1.2 volume in the thousands of cubic kilometers. Of the total amount of the water on the earth, ocean 93% is 4.1% is earth crust, 2.0% of glaciers and polar ice caps, 0.052% is freshwater lakes, river, atmosphere, moistures. The oceans occupy nearly four-fifths four-fifths of the surface of the earth. The seas and oceans are thus almost two and of times and extensive as the dryland surface. The mean depth of ocean is about 4.00 meters. All the oceans of the world are the physically connected together, but nevertheless the ecological conditions differ in the different regions. In the sea, water contains an average about 35 parts of salts in the 1000 parts of the water. The temperature of the that of pure water, the highest temperature of the seawater so far recorded in the world is 35.5 degrees centigrade in the Persian Gulf. The Persian Gulf, and the lowest surface temperature is minus 3.5 degrees centigrade in the polar seas. Nearly all over the world, the temperature at sea bottom is constant at about 1 degree centigrade. Sunlight does not penetrate below depth of 500 meters. The sunlight cannot penetrate in the sunlight cannot penetrate into the below the 500 meters in the ocean water. The fresh water belongs to the inland water like lakes, tanks, ponds, wells, springs, river, streams, etc. The compared to the sea's freshwater occupy hardly 1% of the land surface. Freshwater bodies often completely dry up during the summer or during period of the drought. In market contrast to the sea, freshwater has very low salinity, lower density, and buoyancy than seawater. Freshwater bodies are generally grouped as stagnant. Stagnant means lentic water like lakes, ponds, swamps, bogs, and marshes, and running water like river, springs, streams, and brooks. These are the stagnant lentic water. Lactic and lentic both are there. Lactic, lactic water is the flowing water. Lentic water is the stagnant water. These two are the master. Next, lithosphere. The Earth crust is known as a lithosphere. It is ranges from 6 to 22 miles down into the earth bowel. It has soil organisms. For example, bacteria can be obtained in the coal deposits at a depth of 1,089 meters. The area of lithosphere is 1,408 into 10 to the power of 8 square kilometers. Lithosphere occupies roughly 29% of Earth's surfaces. Experiments have proved that 98% of the crust is composed of 8 elements like oxygen, silicon, aluminum, iron, calcium, sodium, potassium, magnesium. These 8 elements are the most important. What are the elements? Oxygen, silicon, aluminum, iron, calcium, sodium, potassium, magnesium. These 8 elements are most important, and the rest of 90 elements compose the remaining 2% of the crust. These elements are not found in their elemental form, but combine with others to make various substances with specific physical and chemical properties called minerals. The substances formed of one or more minerals and part of the earth crust is rock. Next one is a water cycle. Water cycle is a it is a otherwise called a hydrological cycle. Water cycle is called a hydrological cycle. Another name is the hydrological cycle, which can advertently and inadvertently change weather and climate. The water cycle consists of varied events happening to a particles of water from the time it is a bit of vapor in the temperature until it is again evaporated. Means the ocean water must be evaporated and river water must be evaporated and ponds water, lake water, because based on the temperature the water must be evaporated into atmosphere. The water atmosphere moisture must be one place to another place, it must be gone on the earth, it will be reach the mountain region area, tree area. So that place the rainwater, the, the clouds must be very highly density with water, so that the moisture content clouds must be transferred into the rainwater. The water must be reached onto earth surface. This is a cycle formation. The ocean water goes to atmosphere. The atmosphere water must be in the form of the rain again reach to the earth surface. The earth surface water must flowing to on the earth surface. Finally, it is going to reach the ocean. It is a completely one cycle of the water. That's why a water cycle, or we are called the water cycle or hydrological cycle. We must call this. The water enter the atmosphere from the surface of the bodies of water and from the soil, from planets in the transportation or in the drying and small amount of the animals. It is disseminated through the atmosphere by winds, precipitation as a liquid or frozen rains or a snow. Once participated, there may be immediate evaporates. The water may be stored in soil, swamps, lakes, and oceans before evaporation takes it back to the beginning of the cycle. Plants and animals take water out of the inorganic hydrological cycle and make an organic one from the pieces of water returns some sooner or later by diffusion. Excretion are the result of the organism decomposition, and due to evaporation the water accumulates in atmosphere in the form of vapor. If all moisture in the air were precipitated and collected in the ocean, the sea level would be raised only 3.5 centimeters. The amount of fresh water is about 33 times to that in the atmosphere. More water evaporates from the sea than returns via rainfall. The vice versa for the land, 0.2% geograms. 1 geogram is equal to 10 to the power of 20 gms for the of water or the fresh water lakes and rivers, and 0.2 geograms runs of each year. The turnover the time is about a year. The difference between the annual rainfall, water, man's tendency to increase the rate of run of many soon reduce the very important groundwater compartment. We should be putting more water back into the aquifer instead of trying to store it all the lakes where evaporates is high. Geological cycle. In nature, elements or chemical undergo a cyclic change between organisms and environment, and these changes are called geological or biogeochemical cycles. Bio refers to living organisms, geo to the rocks, soil, air, water of the earth. Nitrogen cycle is a typical example of geological cycle. Nitrogen cycle typical from the geological cycle. In the nitrogen cycle, atmosphere is the main reservoir, and the nitrogen is the continually feeding into the out of the out of this great reservoir from the rapidly cycling pool associated with organisms. Nitrogen is the present in habit 79% in the atmosphere, which serves as a nitrogen reservoir. This free nitrogen is converted into the nitrates by a specific kind of microorganisms called as a nitrogen fixing bacteria, and also by algae. The nitrogen in the form of nitrates is available to the planets for the construction of the projects. These projects problems enter into the body of the animals through food chains due to the metabolic activity. The nitrogen is extracted outside the animal in the form of ammonia. On the other hand of the ammonia also formed and added into the stock from igneous rocks through volcanic action. Thus, ammonia, which as a accumulated, is a converted into nitrates through nitrite bacteria in the soil, added in the nitric stock. The nitrates are also added in the on the through the marine birds and fishes. The exercises decreases in the atmosphere. It can be bridged by the formation of the nitrogen from the nitrates through denitrifying bacteria. Thus, the nitrogen cycle is maintained through specialized microorganisms like bacteria and blue-green algae, and any increases under increases or decrease of nitrogen also along one path is quickly compensated for by adjustments along the paths. Next, wind formation. Wind formation. Wind is an important environmental factor capable of creating currents and cyclones in terrestrial as well as in aquatic ecosystem. Air temperature difference between the poles and equator setup of string winds which together with the rotation of the earth produces water currents. The warm winds from the equator poles as it make towards the poles and descending at about 30-degree latitudes. The cold wind flowing through the surface from the poles warm, warms and ascends at about 60 degrees latitudes. Winds are there relatively calm at the surface near the equator and are called the dol- doldrums. The winds which flow from the pressure to low pressure is called geotropic winds, which tends to follow the lines of constant air pressure, means ice bars. The wind forms. The stormy winds occur with the greater winds velocities closer to the Earth's surface. Stormy weather is associated with jet maximum wind with extremely higher speed. Sharp temperature difference between masses tend to reduce a cyclic circulation pattern around the low pressure area. The jet maximus accelerates this tendency, and thunderstorms and tornadoes may develop. The hurricane, otherwise known as a typhoon, is an intense cyclone that develops over tropical oceans. Hurricanes can reach 800 km on the diameter with winds over 120 km speed per hour. Interaction between wind and the water can produce can produce can reach 100 kilometers diameter is a can produce waves 6 to 10 meters high, as well as causes water to wrap up on the shore, flooding coastal area. When when hurricanes move over land, the moist air is not readily available to supply energy. So winds in diameter with the winds over 120 kilometers per hour. Interaction between the wind and the water can produce waves 6 to 10 meters high, as well as cause water to wrap up on shore, flooding coastal areas. When hurricanes move over land, the moisture air is not readily available to supply energy. So winds, despite and the hurricanes die out in rainstorms. Tornado is another type of cyclone but is much smaller in diameter than a hurricane. Tornadoes are about 100 meters to 1 kilometers in diameters with wind speed exceeding 200 meters per second. Tornadoes usually form over land when cooler, drier air moves rapidly over warm, moisture air. Next, Iceland forms. Water freezing during excessive cooling at zero and sub-zero temperature near the poles and forms into icelands like glacier, ice caps, and snow packs. During summer and winter does not melt. A snow pack accumulates over a period of years. The snow jack the glaciers moving down mountain slopes carry along rocks and grid away the rock beneath. For example, more massive accumulations form continental sheets of ice as the Greenland and Antarctica, but alpine glaciers alpine glaciers represent small volume of the world glaciers. Thank you to all. Today, what we are listening, most of the students. Thank you to everyone. Thank you to everyone. Thank you listening. Today, my class, the introduction of the biosphere and compare compartment of the biosphere. And within that, atmosphere, hydrosphere, lithosphere. These three is the most important comparison study. In this, we can expect in the question. Next one is the geological cycle and wind forms. Geological cycle means first formed rock is the igneous rock, next formed rock is the sedimentary, another formation rock is the metamorphic rock. These three type of rocks is on the available on the surface. There is we must study about this climatic hydrological rock formations. Next, we have studied Iceland forms. Iceland means ice covers on their surface. The ice cover is the covered ice is the covered on their surface. So that ice is not melting. So that's called as a Iceland covers form. How it is formed? Ice is how it is formed. What type of rocks is there? What type of rocks is there? Studying about that area. The glaciers